The 2023 spooky season is shaping up to be a phenomenal fright fest both on the big and small screens. Get out your calendar apps, horror fans. We've collected the deets on all the tales of terror soon headed your way. It's been nearly a decade since The Conjuring arrived in theaters, and the franchise that's grown from the based on a true story fright fest shows no signs of slowing down. In addition to the 3 films in the main Conjuring series, with a 4th on the way, several spin-off movies have now developed into sub-franchises of their own, most notably the evil doll series Annabelle. And now, yet another Conjuring offshoot is set to move into sequel territory. In 2023, Warner Bros. Will release The Nun 2, a sequel to the Conjuring 2 spin-off The Nun about the saga of Valak, a demonic spirit that takes the form of a nun. As the official plot synopsis puts it, a priest is murdered, an evil is spreading.
I think there's something here that's not meant to be.
And when Valak's on the loose, who you gonna call? You call Sister Irene, of course, played by Thaisa Farmiga. She portrayed the heroic nun in the first film, and she's back again to do battle with the sinister spirit. On that note, Bonnie Aarons will once again play the murderous Valak for a story set in 1950s France. Plus, Storm Reed of The Invisible Man and The Last of Us will star as another heroic nun battling the habit-wearing Hellfiend. You can also expect the return of Jonas Bloquet as Frenchie, the poor farmer who was possessed in the first film and who will definitely play a part in Valak's terrifying return. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It director Michael Chaves is helming the film, and Malignant and Megan writer Akela Cooper penned the screenplay. Valak will be back just in time to get us ready for the 2023 Halloween season, arriving September 8th, 2023 with an R rating for violent content and some terror. It took 5 years for director and star Kenneth Branagh to follow up his first Hercule Poirot film, Murder on the Orient Express, with Death on the Nile in 2022. We won't have to wait nearly as long for the 3rd installment in the series, which brings together yet another all-star ensemble cast in another Agatha Christie story.
The world insists on destruction, yet here, masterpieces are baked to order every day.
Set in the titular Italian city, A Haunting in Venice will focus on a retired Poirot, played once again by Branagh, who, according to the official plot synopsis, is living in self-imposed exile. However, the detective is invited to attend a seance, and after he arrives, one of the other guests winds up murdered. Facing strange, possibly supernatural occurrences and a number of potential suspects, Poirot must summon his courage and his detective skills yet again to get to the bottom of the mystery. The trailers for the film lean heavily on the horror elements of the story, giving us a true haunting vibe thanks to low lighting, a whirling phantasmagoria, creepy kids, and a seance gone very wrong. Plus, the cast is once again full of big names, including Tina Fey, Michelle Yeoh, Jamie Dornan, Kelly Riley, Emma Laird, and more. A Haunting in Venice materializes on September 15th, 2023. Over the last decade or so, through films like The Babysitter, Love and Monsters, and Underwater, Brian Duffield has established himself as one of genre cinema's most compelling writers. With Spontaneous in 2020, he proved he was just as gifted as a director, delivering one of that year's best genre films. Now, he'll try to do it again with an alien invasion flick. Starring the mega-talented Caitlin Dever of Dopesick, No One Will Save You follows a lonely young woman who spends most of her time alone in her childhood home, alienated from the world around her. Then things get weird and scary when she starts hearing odd sounds outside and it turns out to be actual aliens. What follows is a confrontation for the ages, or as Duffield himself put it on Twitter, if you wanted a movie where a bunch of Greys try to abduct Caitlin Dever and she keeps being like, no thank you, we made that movie. The film's release date was announced in July 2023 alongside a first look photo showcasing Dever. And while we're still waiting for more details on the film, we can't wait to check it out. No One Will Save You hits Hulu on September 22nd, 2023. Like any tried and true horror franchise, the Saw series will never stop. And in 2023, we'll get the 10th installment, aptly named Saw 10. The timeline of the franchise has always been rather twisty, and this time around, we're going back to very early in the story to examine what happened when John Kramer was tricked by some dubious medical scammers.
As you can see from that report, my prognosis isn't good. Would you agree?
Featuring the return of Tobin Bell as Jigsaw/John Kramer, Saw X is set between the events of Saw and Saw 2. It follows a desperate Kramer as he heads to Mexico in order to get his cancer cured through an experimental procedure, only to find that he's been scammed.
According to these scans, the tumor was never removed.
So, with the remaining months of his life, he decides to round up all the people who conned him and play a game. a very brutal game full of self-surgery and even more gruesome fates. The first trailer for the film arrived in July 2023 and offered plenty of violent delights for longtime fans of the franchise, along with a very personal mission for Jigsaw himself that might be just Bell's biggest challenge yet in the series. Bringing back Saw veteran Shawnee Smith as Kramer disciple Amanda Young, Saw 10 hits theaters just in time for the Halloween season on September 29, 2023. From freaky to Fear Street, we've gotten no shortage of fun new riffs on slasher movies in recent years, and Totally Killer is now primed to be the latest dive into that particular subgenre. Directed by Nahnatchka Khan of Always Be My Maybe, the film promises a wild ride into classic slasher tropes with the added twist of time travel to dial up the horror comedy experience. Kiernan Shipka of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina stars as Jamie, who's constantly ignoring her mother, Julie Bowen's, warnings about the Sweet 16 Killer, a slasher who terrorized the community decades ago. Jamie thinks it's all in the past, but when the killer returns and targets her family, she finds herself not just running away from the murderer, but running all the way into the past. Trapped in 1987, Jamie is left with no choice but to team up with the teenage version of her mother, played by Olivia Holt, to defeat the Sweet 16 Killer once and for all. With a cast that also includes the likes of Randall Park and Lachlan Monroe, and a premise that plays like Back to the Future meets Halloween, Totally Killer feels like it could be one of the bright spots in a crowded Halloween season of horror releases, so don't miss it. The film hits Prime Video on October 6th. After reinvigorating the Halloween franchise with this 2018 legacy sequel, director David Gordon Green is now turning his attention to the Exorcist franchise, setting the stage for a trilogy of films that will build on the original story of a young girl possessed by a frightening evil. In the first installment in the new series, The Exorcist Believer, screen legend Ellen Burstyn will return to play Chris McNeil, the mother of Linda Blair's Reagan McNeil, who was possessed by the evil Pazuzu in the original movie. This time, Chris will be called upon to help two girls who vanished into the woods and have come back with a bit of a demon problem. Joining Burstyn in the film is Hamilton breakout Leslie Odom Jr., who will play the father of one of the newly possessed girls.
Baby, you've been gone 3 days.
The demonic victims will be portrayed by Lydia Jewett of Nightbooks and Olivia Markham of Matilda the Musical. And we can also expect to see Ann Dowd of The Handmaid's Tale, country singer and actor Jennifer Nettles, Raphael Sbarge of Once Upon a Time, two-time Tony winner Norbert Leo Butz, and artist Okwe Okpokwasili. Possible spoiler alert, it also seems Linda Blair, who portrayed Reagan in the original, will be involved in the film somehow. Above the Line reported that she was seen on set and has claimed she will reprise her iconic performance. However, the site has also reported that, according to production studio Blumhouse, Blair was there simply as an advisor. So it remains to be seen whether or not Blair will actually appear in the film. Either way, at this point, David Gordon Green's definitely got plenty of experience revisiting horror classics, so it'll be very interesting to see if he can do for possession movies what he did for slashers. The film is set to hit theaters a week earlier than initially planned, October 6th, 2023. Development of a film based on the immensely popular Five Nights at Freddy's video game franchise dates back almost to the launch of the original game. It's bounced around since then for nearly a decade, moving through various studios and creative teams, and now it's almost here.
Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's, where fantasy and fun come to life.
Just like the video game, Five Nights at Freddy's is set at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a rundown Chuck E. Cheese-style restaurant complete with animatronic animals led by Freddy Fazbear himself. At night, these animals shockingly come to life, turning homicidal and threatening any humans who are unfortunate enough to be near them. In this case, that's security guard Mike Schmidt, played by Josh Hutcherson, who just took a job at Freddy's, as well as his little sister Abby, played by Piper Rubio. As the night unfurls, both will find themselves in a fight for survival as the monstrous robots start prowling around the pizza joint. Joining Hutcherson and Rubio, we'll see the likes of Matthew Lillard, Elizabeth Lail, Mary Stuart Masterson, and YouTuber Corey Kenshin. The trailers for the film feel like they were pulled directly from the games, with character designs and environments that match the vibe that made the franchise so popular in the first place, right down to a scary time in a ball pit. That's thanks in part to the input of Scott Cawthon, the game's creator, who's on board as both producer and co-writer. Jason Blum also produces, and the film was directed and co-written by Emma Tammy of The Wind. Five Nights at Freddy's hits theaters and the streaming service Peacock on October 27, 2023, just in time for Halloween. More than a decade ago, Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez teamed up for the double feature experiment Grindhouse, and in the process, they drafted several genre filmmakers to create fake trailers to run before and between the films. Of these trailers, the most popular was Eli Roth's fake slasher movie Thanksgiving, a concept so enduring that in 2023, it's finally getting the full-length movie treatment.
This holiday season, Prepare to have the stuffing scared out of you.
Just like the trailer, it appears that Thanksgiving will follow the residents of a Massachusetts town as they celebrate the titular holiday, complete with pilgrim recreations, turkeys, and all the trimmings. Unfortunately for them, a serial killer is also stalking the town, and he's ready to carve up much more than a bird this turkey day. Starring TikTok star Addison Rae, Patrick Dempsey, Gina Gershon, and more, Thanksgiving will slice its way into theaters just in time for the holiday on November 17th, 2023. After 11 seasons, The Walking Dead finally concluded its run in 2022. The show premiered in 2010, becoming one of the most popular television dramas of the decade.
It could be microbial, viral, parasitic, fungal.
Or the wrath of God?
There's that.
Sadly, its viewership waned in its later seasons, particularly after the departure of longtime cast members like Andrew Lincoln, Stephen Yeun, and Denai Guerrera. However, even before The Walking Dead ended, AMC debuted 2 spin-off series that explored other characters in its universe, such as Fear the Walking Dead and the anthology series Tales of the Walking Dead, the latter of which premiered in 2022. However, fans of The Walking Dead characters don't need to worry about saying goodbye. In 2023, AMC has debuted or plans to debut several spin-off series and TV movies centered on iconic characters from the franchise. In June, The Walking Dead: Dead City had its premiere on AMC+, following the adventures of Jeffrey Dean Morgan's infamous Negan alongside Lauren Cohan's Maggie after the events of the original series. 2 more spin-offs are on the way as well. The Walking Dead: Daryl Dixon, a series that obviously centers on Norman Reedus' crossbow-wielding character Daryl Dixon, premieres on September 10th, 2023. The other, The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live, a miniseries focusing on departed characters Rick and Michonne, with Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrera reprising their roles, is set to arrive sometime in 2024. The Walking Dead fans will have lots to look forward to in 2023 and beyond.
Daryl,
Yeah.
you deserve a happy ending too.
If there's anything to be learned from House of the Dragon, it's that audiences are still hungry for more time with their favorite TV universes. American Horror Story always swings for the fences, with its cinematography, costuming, and set design making it instantly recognizable. The latest season-long storyline, American Horror Story Delicate, is based on Daniel Valentine's horror novel Delicate Condition and looks like a super creepy tale about trauma, pregnancy, and loss. American Horror Story Delicate tells the story of an actress named Anna Alcott, played by AHS regular Emma Roberts, who worries that someone close to her is preventing her from getting pregnant. She starts in vitro fertilization treatments, gets pregnant, and later has a miscarriage. However, she believes something is still growing inside her body. In true AHS fashion, it's probably something terrifying. Other series regulars whom we know are returning for Delicate include Dennis O'Hare, Billy Lord, and Zachary Quinto. The other top-billed cast members are Cara Delevingne and Kim Kardashian, both of whom are making their debut on the series. Delicate will also be broken into 2 parts due to the labor strikes in Hollywood. Part 1 includes 5 episodes, which will air weekly starting September 20th. Part 2 is expected sometime in 2024. Director and horror TV creator Mike Flanagan typically doesn't miss. Not only has he directed some twisted movies over the years, but he's also given us some of Netflix's best horror programming. The Haunting of Hill House, The Haunting of Bly Manor, Midnight Mass, and The Midnight Club have all been well-received hits for the streaming giant, and Flanagan will now add some scares to 2023's spooky season with The Fall of the House of Usher. The Fall of the House of Usher is a modern-day amalgamation of several of the works of Edgar Allan Poe. It focuses on a pharmaceutical CEO who grows increasingly paranoid as his children begin to die by progressively bizarre and violent means. Flanagan has always had a deft hand when it comes to building dread, so Poe's timeless tales of terror seem like a perfect fit for the director.
But getting to the heart, that's the tricky part.
Flanagan tends to work with a reliable stable of actors, and many of them appear in The Fall of the House of Usher. Look for Carla Gugino, Kate Siegel, Henry Thomas, Rahul Kohli, and many more familiar faces in the cast list. Other big names include Willa Fitzgerald, Bruce Greenwood, Mary McDonnell, and Mark Hamill. The series arrives on Netflix on October 12th. Apple TV knows that audiences want spooky shows during the fall, and they are bringing it with The Changeling. This is not the same story as the 1980 horror film The Changeling, nor is it the same story as the 2008 film starring Angelina Jolie. Instead, this series is based on a 2017 fantasy horror novel by Victor Lavalle, and it looks wholly unnerving. The Changeling stars Lakeith Stanfield as a man named Apollo, who finally marries the woman of his dreams, played by Clark Bacco, and has a child with her. However, his world quickly unravels when he wakes up one morning to find his wife and daughter have disappeared without a trace.
They told me not to go, but I
I didn't listen.
As he frantically searches for them, Apollo begins to question the nature of his entire reality, and supernatural events and magical beings begin to make him realize that he may be toying with forces well beyond his control. The first 3 episodes of The Changeling premiere on Apple TV on September 8th, followed by a new episode each week thereafter. The Castlevania animated series didn't seem like it would amount to much when it was announced, but it didn't take long for audiences to take notice. Not only did it do an excellent job of adapting story beats from the popular video game series, but it also featured great writing, stellar voice acting, and incredible animation. 4 seasons in, and Netflix has decided to start telling a different tale in the same universe with Castlevania Nocturne. Whereas Castlevania focused its attention on Trevor Belmont, Castlevania Nocturne will change up settings, characters, and time periods. It will feature Richter Belmont, a descendant of Trevor, and will take place during the French Revolution. There have not been many details released about the plot just yet, but we do know that Richter will need to find a group of allies to help him in a battle against the forces of darkness. Gruesome fight scenes, difficult choices, and over-the-top villains will surely abound.
Before the moon is full, the vampire messiah will come.
Whether Castlevania Nocturne can keep the magic going is yet to be seen, but judging from the quality of the original series, we wouldn't bet against it. It premieres on Netflix on September 28th.